What's up, everybody? This is CaseStudyQB.
You gotta let the beat ride a little bit.
Yeah, you gotta get the dancing in, son.
It's automatic right now. So, by the way, we're live right now, so people might be able to hear this.
I gotta make an entrance. You know how I do.
You're gonna make an entrance right now.
That never worked for me.
1, 2, 3. Yeah, what's going on, everybody? This is CaseStudyQB, and we are the political junkies back at it again. Had a very eventful week. Let me go around the horn because we got a lot to talk about. We got Carlito, Izzy, Bendone, Gabe is somewhere, and John. We about to get into it. But first, let me go to my man Carlito. Matter of fact, let me skip Carlito, go straight to Izzy. Because I don't want to hear the word Knicks and Atlanta Hawks in the same sentence right now. But I'll let you rock. Go ahead, Carlito.
I gotta say nothing. Just look at the back. Look at the logo. Free promo right there for the squad. So, but I do want to talk about the GOAT real quick.
Who's that?
I saw Simone Biles.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, man. That's the GOAT. And she also had I saw an article. She had her outfit. She had a goat embroidered in the back and rhinestones and whatnot.
I did see that. Yeah,
man.
That's
when
fire.
They gotta ban moves because she's the only one that could do it.
Wow.
You know that you are the woman.
Oh wow. I didn't even know about that one. That's crazy. Really?
Yep.
The GOAT.
I know she's making up her own moves and stuff. Izzy, my man, how you doing?
I'm just mind blown listening to this. I had no idea that was even a thing.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I'm not surprised because I know what color she is.
Yeah, I mean, she didn't make up the move, but it's so hard and so dangerous that you could just break your neck real easy.
Or if you're a badass like her, you execute it perfectly.
Black excellence at its best. Bendone, how you doing, my man? All right. Gabe, are you somewhere? What's up?
Good evening, everybody.
Trying to make an entrance.
I was waiting for the entrance.
He's making an entrance and then with
music.
He's making an entrance with a Lakers shirt.
We're good. Lakers didn't do too well yesterday, so I'm a little bummed, but we're gonna get them in the next one.
All right, I'm right there with you, my man. John, how you doing, buddy?
Happy Monday. Let's go Knicks.
You hater. All right, let me say what's up to the people in the chat real quick because I see a lot of love in the chat, my man. Our main guy, Alan, Amberster Neek, aka Neek, is in the building. Holly Horn is in the building, and she's a man. I always commend her because she's in HLM's chat. She's in every chat that I go to that's a progressive lefty. I usually see Holly. So much love. Thank you for always supporting. And we're going to get right into it. So the first thing I want to show is actually Carlito, say something real quick because I got to prepare something.
Okay, well, I want to say something else about Simone Biles because I've been telling people.
There you go.
I think she's the GOAT, period, regardless of sport. She's the best gymnast, that's duh. But regardless of sport, I think she's the best athlete right now, best of all time, no comparison. She's above Jordan.
No doubt. All right, so I'm gonna bring it back. This is going to be the no cancel.
It should be a cancel topic. Cancel topic number 3.
Carlito's in some meds right now.
Serena Williams will be up there pretty upset.
No, she's up there too. She's up there too, no doubt. See.
Case is all right, enough of y'all.
All right, so let me go back. So basically, no counts. I didn't even tell my guys, we didn't discuss it, but I hope you guys like it. It's going to be something different. It says, The first one is, should progressives take a break from Medicare for all? And hear me out here. Take a break from Medicare for all to ask for Medicare for all children, which would advocate to cover all kids between 0 and 18. Now, we're going to get to it. I have a strategy behind it, so we'll talk about it when we get to it. And then the second thing is, should we give Andrew Yang credit for the children's tax credit policy? So that's the tax credit policy, which is basically like a UBI. It's going to start in July, where you're giving either $250 or $300 per child. So
it's gonna be a quick knockout zone.
Okay, so we're gonna be discussing that. We're gonna see how that goes. And yeah, all right. So the next thing we're gonna go to is Carlito's rundown. It used to be Carlito's rapid fire, but we had to change the marketing because people were just talking too long.
I blame Alan for that.
Musket fire.
Uh-oh. So
hey,
all right.
I have the trademark on musket fire.
Yeah. All right, number one, real quick. Ice cream parlor raises minimum wage to $15 an hour, flooded with job applications. So there's a video on MSNBC, a bunch of articles out there. So, we hear a lot of complaints in the news about businesses not being able to find employees to hire. It turns out that if you pay a decent wage, you can attract people. And this small business, they have not raised prices because it's not losing money, because they're saving money on turnover. They don't have to retrain employees. Nobody's burned out from working 2 other jobs or showing up late or giving back customer service, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So, Bedon, why aren't more businesses just following the lead?
I think now it's more or less that businesses don't know the revenue model in the sense of it's feasible or not. Like, and I bring up 2 cases. One, there was the big strike for McDonald's and no one's trying to go back to work. And McDonald's has these free new promos to try to get their iPhones. And then the other case in Connecticut is we're struggling folks to convert from unemployment to employment. It's a hey, come to work, and no one's coming to work. Where similar to what we talk about here week in and week out, it's who has the power. Right? It's not all these people should say.
Ooh. The mic.
Getting to the no cancel zone early. Cancel that mic.
Your mic is canceling you, but
But what's this about McDonald's and iPhones? I don't know about this. Anybody know?
There's a promo out there. If you get hired at a McDonald's, and I forget how long you have to be there, they'll give you a smartphone.
Yeah, that's not enough.
That's nothing compared to what my boy John told us in the pregame show. How Aspiration Bank they just changed their policy so that they're offering a $25 minimum wage for all their employees. Aspiration Bank. If you don't know about them, look them up. Transfer all your money to them because Gabe and I already do. We've been supporting them for a long time now. Amazing company, a good B Corp, certified B Corp. So yeah, this just goes to show, these things are very doable.
Yeah. Yo, in the chat, Alex Ambertron saying it's still rapid fire in his heart. He's got to play it in 2X later.
I was gonna say on that same note of the higher minimum wages. There's been many companies that have been doing it for years. Costco's a big one. They've been paying good wages, and that's why their employees are much happier and stay longer. And for all their flaws, Chick-fil-A has been doing similar. When you go into Chick-fil-A, for the most part, they're smiling, they're saying "my pleasure," all that stuff. And McDonald's, I don't know when the last time I heard somebody say "my pleasure." So I got a thumbs down from Izzy, but it's individual issues.
Because my pleasure.
Yeah, Holly Horn. The bank is Aspiration Bank.
Should get an aspiration code.
I'll be honest.
For people that promo code for people that join.
Yeah, go ahead, find it so you can say it later.
Yeah. I found out about it through TYT.
I reloaded the musket. Next story.
Go ahead, Carlito. Go ahead.
There's federal money available to house the homeless. No one's taking it. By Adam Mahoney on Grizz.org. FEMA is reimbursing cities that want to relieve homelessness, but only 23 local governments have signed up. There are different problems, but it seems that the main problem that smaller cities and towns just don't know about it, or they don't have the resources to apply for these grants. So, Gabe, what can be done about a situation like this?
What could be done? I mean, it's a combination. Is when you have something like a program of this magnitude, one, you have to let people know about it, and it makes you wonder. You know, I think homelessness is one of the things that we always bring up on this podcast, and I'm usually the one that takes point on it. But homelessness is a problem that we could solve very easily. In 2019, there were 2019 there was, I think, millions of homes, up to 17 million vacant homes in the United States, and by all the numbers, there's only several 100,000 homeless people in the country. So the problem isn't that we can't end homelessness, that we don't want to. We don't want to be creative about it. And when this program comes out, it's like if a tree drops in the woods, do you hear a sound? If a program comes out and nobody knows about it, is it really there? And we have to make sure that as you know, the federal government, they're doing everything they can to promote that to all those. But there's also several governments that are just not taking advantage of it. People that do know about it. It's very similar to the was it the Medicare expansion states that didn't take it. Some Republican states are actively choosing to not take advantage of this program. So it's a combination of certain states choosing not to and other ones not knowing about it. So how do we fix it? We got to get the word out if we truly want to do anything about homelessness. And we know that it is much more economical to end homelessness than to have the homeless be suffering. So it's until our federal government and Joe Biden decides they want to do something about it, then, you know, we're going to keep having this problem come up on the podcast over and over.
Yeah, Holly Horn in the chat, he said Utah did it. There just got to be some political will. Now, Gabe, tell us a little bit, you know, I just thought of something. The story you were telling us pregame when you were driving and your wife was seeing all these areas.
Yep. So we've been on the road about 2 months now, just driving to different places we've never seen, mountains and stuff like that. And you know, we're driving. My wife has like an existential moment. She's just like, there's so much land in this country, that there's so much land you could probably give everybody, not just a couple acres, not just 40 acres and a mule. You give people miles and miles of land each and still have tons left over. So it also is another angle to look at, you know, what is this artificial scarcity we have? And why do people need to suffer? Give everybody, you know, an acre of land and have them build their house on it. There's 500 solutions we could probably think of right now that are better than what we currently have. And the system of shelters and temporary housing and things like that. People need dignity. People need a place that they could call home, that they feel safe in, not a shelter that they're going to go to and worry if they have to get stabbed. You know, like it's something that is a problem that we need to really push our state, federal, and local officials to try to solve. And it's amazing watching my wife's just thought change in real time and watching her have that moment. It was a beautiful experience.
Yeah, and that's something that, you know, that it kind of not dawned on me, but I thought about it. It's like, we've done this before. Like, you're traveling all across the Midwest and the West. That's literally how we expanded out there. The government just said, if you are willing to settle this land, we're just gonna give it to you.
Yeah, what was it? The Homestead Act, I think it was called.
Yeah, we can just straight up start whole new like subdivisions, like mixed use complexes, have businesses start up. You can have everything, you know. Yeah. And with all this thing about green living and things like that, you can start farms in all these places, have some extra come in, teach them how to do it. It's possible. You just got to do it.
It is.
You could build a simple shelter with a home and with a bathroom for like less than $10,000, in some cases $5,000. That it will also be energy independent. You know, so it's like, I think it would just destroy the housing market. And when you look at this van life that we've been doing, there's federal land that you can stay on for 14 days at a time, camping with no reservations. You just show up and park wherever you feel like it. And that's something that I feel like it's like a life hack that people don't know. Like, if they would have told me that when I was in college, maybe I would have traveled for a year or 2 years just around the country for free. Your only cost is gas and food. You can go wherever you want and just park. And as long as there's a empty plot of land that you could park on, no one's gonna bother you for 14 days.
Do when 14 days are up, you just gotta like
you go to the next one.
You just drive like 2 feet.
No, you gotta leave that area, whatever that park is. You go to the next one, and then in 14 days or 30 days after that, you can come back. And so it's nice because gas is the most expensive thing, and as long as you're not traveling every single day, if you're staying 14 days and you're only putting a tank in of, you know, twice a month, your costs are going to be very, very low just to live. So I don't think they want people to know about this lifestyle, because if more people knew about it, more people would take advantage of it. And it's a way to never be homeless. If you could build yourself a small, cheap camper van, you'll never be homeless.
Yeah. But even like, don't even like go too far. Like, we could take all these failing malls, antique malls, and like literally just take it and build on it, and even make it like where people could get jobs and work there. And because not everybody want to live in the Midwest, right? Maybe some people may want to live in the city, and we could do all that. But rather, what we do is we'd rather just bail out all these corporations, have them take taxpayer dollars, and then flip that and make billions out of it. So if the government wanted to do a solution, they could find one like in 2 days, but we know that they don't.
I think I hear my wife.
Socialism.
I hear my wife, but don't say the magic word, tiny homes. She's obsessed with those things, man.
Yeah.
Yo, I can't stand it. There's no room for me. I need room for my.
And if you want to be snapped out of like consumerism, get a freaking van or a tiny home and live in it for a month, and you realize just how little you need. Like you really like. I'm here in the van with a whole van full of stuff. I haven't watched TV hardly at all these 2 months. I have too many clothes. Like now, next time we come out for however long, we're gonna have even less clothes than we have right now. You just realize how little you actually need. Whereas at home, I have a house full of just junk and consumer stuff that's weighing me down.
I need a computer and a PlayStation. I'm set.
So Gabe, you're a hoarder? You're saying at home?
I would say yes. My wife would call me one for sure.
Yeah, Raphael was saying even if building those new developments, you can even put the schools right there. But socialism, we know. All right.
Yep.
Next, musket fire. How the environmental lawyer who won a massive judgment against Chevron lost everything. By Sharon Lerner at theintercept.com. This is an older story, but I've been seeing that getting talked about more recently, including a funny clip on The Daily Show. So we got this like Bill de Blasio lookalike lawyer who won billions of dollars on a lawsuit against Chevron for massive contamination of indigenous areas in Ecuador. So I encourage you all to read the full story, but there's two parts that kind of caught my attention. The first one was that this lawyer is under house arrest for like more than 2 years for a crime that carries a penalty of about 6 months. And all because he wouldn't turn over his cell phone and a computer, which has a lot of client privilege stuff, to Chevron. So they want to give his stuff to it makes no damn sense. And then the other thing is that the government won't prosecute him. So they assign a lawyer that has worked with Chevron to be the judge for the case. So, I mean, Izzy, will Chevron ever pay for the oil they spill and the land and livelihoods that they've ruined?
No, because this judgment was levied against them in Ecuador, where they were ordered to pay, I think, 14 billion initially. It got dropped down to 9 billion, and they haven't paid one dime. They moved all their operations out of Ecuador, and they haven't paid one dime. And you were talking about how this guy had his laptop, or he was ordered to give up his laptop and phone, even though he never did. This is like unprecedented, almost unprecedented in law. I mean, lawyers never have to do these things. The fact that he's under house arrest is completely unprecedented. He was put under house arrest by a judge with no jury, a judge who seems to have maybe some very, friendly ties to Chevron. So everything smells of corruption. It's just honestly capitalism at its worst, because Chevron can just throw millions and millions of dollars at this guy that he could never match and just keep him completely oppressed and scare the crap out of anyone else who wants to try to go against him the way he did. So it's scary stuff, man. I can't believe this is not bigger news. I'm thankful that Roy Wood Jr. from The Daily Show did something on it, but I can't believe that this is not mainstream media news.
Yeah. In the chat, Sterling W said it would have been cheaper for Chevron to actually clean up the mess they made. Instead, they went after the prosecution. I don't know if it would have been cheaper, but still, it's definitely unnecessary. And we know they don't care that much about money, because one of the things in the article was that they sued the lawyer for for the information, but also for some certain amount of money. But if it was more than $20, they will have to have a jury trial. So they dropped every kind of monetary compensation from the lawyer, just so everything be settled by a judge that is basically handpicked by them, a corporate judge.
Yeah.
Oh, that's great.
In a civil trial. This wasn't even a criminal trial. It was a civil trial, and this guy's under house arrest.
So let me ask you guys
For
this
2
question.
years.
Do you think that this case will ever reach the mainstream media, like maybe in the next week or next 2 weeks? Because I agree with Izzy that I saw this bubbling up in independent media. Like I saw Rising covered it. I think Bad Faith, and I know that Susan Sarandon and somebody else is really promoting it. I can't think of the other person right now, but they're really pushing to get this guy's story out there. Do anyone think that in a week or 2 or 3 or even in a month?
Case, you watch more mainstream media than all of us because you have to for your work.
Yeah.
I mean, how many times do you see Chevron commercials on this mainstream media? Right?
Good point.
That's your answer right there.
There's your answer.
Yeah. I think this
We
reminds
need
me of
TikTok to talk about it.
this reminds me of the Tara Reid story where it started with Katie Halper, who did an interview with Tara, and then it went to other shows. But it took like maybe, I forgot how many months, but it was like 3 months before mainstream media, and it was after Biden got the nomination that they finally talked about it. But anyway,
What are the K-pop fans doing right now? They could get it moving.
Yeah, word.
Next story. Banks say USDA's debt forgiveness for minority farmers will cost them money and could affect future loans. Black farmers call that a threat, by Vanessa Yorkovich and Kate Traficante at CNN. So Biden did a good thing. Don't kill the messenger. So as part of the 1.9 trillion COVID relief package, $4 billion were included to help pay off farm loans of Black farmers who have been discriminated against by lenders in the United States Department of Agriculture. Well, these banks say that paying off their loans early will make them lose the profit that they expected to make in, inflated interest. Therefore, these, MFers threaten not to lend to minority farmers in the future. So listen. So the group, which represents 52,000 bank locations, added, it's a quote, "If USDA does not compensate lenders for such disruptions or avoid sudden loan payoffs, the likely result will be less access to credit for those seeking USDA guaranteed loans in the future, including socially disadvantaged farmers/ranchers." So Case, correct me if I'm wrong, but it sounds like they're saying that they can't be racist with their loans in the future. If they can't be racist with the loans in the future, then they just won't let any money at all. Did I read that right?
Yeah, it just reminds me of the fact that they brought back, and I brought up the face of this guy, Secretary of Agriculture, Tom Vilsack. He was the Secretary of Agriculture under President Obama. And if you guys remember,
8 years.
But yeah, if you guys remember the Shirley Sherrod incident where she was advocating for, actually, I think it was in the Fox News that, what's his name, Glenn Beck, they manufactured a scandal to get her basically in, Obama, and even the NAACP all backed that it turned out to be false, but that she said something against white farmers, and it turned out to be false. Once they showed the whole context, it showed that she was actually saying something in favor. And Shirley Sherrod got kicked out of the Secretary of Agriculture. And it just shows how white a department can be, right? Where if they would have just settled down and look at the full context, they wouldn't have gotten rid of this a very valuable black. I always felt that they should have brought her back as Secretary of Agriculture just to because she was really, really close. It wasn't like she was not experienced or didn't have the credentials to do this job. But the other person that I thought should have had this job was the person who has HUD, which is FUD. I can't think of her first name right now for some reason, but she's the Secretary of HUD right now. And yeah, Marsha Fudge. And she would have did an excellent job as the Secretary of Agriculture. And right here is the case for that. She would have been able to relate to this situation, and she gets feedback from the minorities so that they can be able to come out with fairness. It just reminds me of redlining and all the systemic ways that black people are disadvantaged throughout history. This is just another way.
So is this Biden's way of trying to make up for bringing back this Secretary of Agriculture?
I know,
because this that dude is awful. Like
Yeah.
he was probably one of the worst secretary of agriculture there was, and he was there for 8 years, and then Biden brought him back.
I don't understand why. I really don't.
Well, we know why. It's because they didn't want to give it a somebody that's going to be really disruptive.
Maybe.
Now
Yeah.
we got to see what's going to happen with this, where, this sounds like a threat. If for some reason they're not getting loans in the future, they're going to have to take away their charters. They have to sue them. That's pretty much what's going to have to happen if they go through with those threats.
And the preposterousness of that statement too, of just it'll affect our ability to give FDA backed loans, or was it, or federal whatever backed loans, whatever the agency was.
Yeah,
like
USDA.
The loan is over. USDA is already backed by the USDA, and they're saying, like, so those are the most low risk loans that you can make anyway. So because you're only gonna make a normal percentage instead of an inflated percentage, like it's just so disgusting.
Word, man, word. All right, Ms. Musket fired. California will mandate masks for another month. Texas will ban mask mandates in schools. Are both states going too far? By Andrew Romano for Yahoo News. Yahoo News. So most blue states have just gone with the CDC recommendations, but California and a couple others are doing more by still keeping mask mandates for another month or two. Now, most red states, they don't give two craps about the mask mandates anyway, but Texas has gone even wronger by mandating that there should be no mask mandates from any local jurisdiction or face a fine. So much for local control there. So the experts say that neither policy is likely to change the trajectory of the pandemic in either state, especially in Texas, where Governor Abbott would not fine schools that keep the mandate during this school year. So, John, what conclusion can we draw from these two states?
Well, we always know, like, Texas is cuckoo. They always come up with something. But we know that California at the beginning, their rates were going crazy, and we know there was some counties in California that they, those Trump counties, that they just didn't want to follow any of that. But California has now one of the lowest rates. The governor talks about to mid-June, so get businesses prepared. And again, it's also going to be up to the people. There's still going to be some people that no matter what the CDC says, and they're going to try, and businesses too, they're going to require masks, and they're going to try to do their best because a lot of people still feel that we haven't gone from it. And Texas, we leave it to Texas. Texas was the first state to say we're going to open up fully with no mask requirements, and they always put profits over people, and we saw it. I think I was talking to some of our friends from Texas, and they said the other day was the first day that Texas didn't have some type of death or something like that. So California has one of the lowest rates. Texas has one of the highest rates. So draw your own conclusion with that. So, but again, he's going to go back, and it's always also how interesting how Texas also too always talks about the governor, the government should not say have a say in the local registration, and it's crazy because they want to have it at state level. They didn't want to go and mandate it at a local level. So they just saying, well, all around the states, if you don't follow it, then you may get a fine.
Mm-hmm. Holy Horn in the chat, you're saying I'm keeping the mask.
Yeah, that's a lot. I'm fully vaccinated and I wear my mask. I think there's still going to be some type. I personally think that the CDC kind of went about it in the wrong way with this, right? Because there's going to be some of those people that never trusted the mask or wear a mask, and there's no way to really know who's vaccinated and who's not vaccinated. So those people that are against it, they're just going to go be around it. So I still wear my mask everywhere I go, and it's going to be up to the individual to protect themselves. Some of them, they feel like the vaccine is going to protect them from some, and some is just completely going to go with the notion like they always have said, right? We don't believe it, it's fake, and we don't have to wear masks anywhere. So
yeah,
Carlito, I'm a little surprised that you didn't bring up the both sidesism of this article too, because while they may both be quote unquote going extreme, there is not an equivalency here to making this article. So I was kind of surprised that you didn't mention that.
Yeah, because the article was only focusing about whether these are just policies that are being used as political messaging to their base. So it was really just the political aspect of it. But you're right. You know me. You know what I think, because better safe than sorry. And I was gonna say, I was talking to my wife about this, and she was saying, yeah, I mean, we're vaccinated, whatever, but what about variants? There's variants could be out there that doesn't necessarily protect you. There's still not conclusive evidence that even if you are vaccinated, that you don't transmit it to somebody else that is not vaccinated or is more unhealthy or whatever. So it's better safe than sorry. And by telling people, if you decide on your own to make a local law to keep masks on, we're gonna fine you. It's like saying, like, we want you dead, like we want you to harm yourself.
But it shows how hypocrites they are, right? Because they said the federal government can't tell our state what to do. So now the state, at the state level, they want to tell the local registration what to do, right? So they want to be able to be up along their business by saying there's going to be a fine. So is that guy, the Abbott, he's something else.
And this is the same thing that happened with the Confederate monuments. Whenever cities wanted to take down, which shrines to traitors of the country, state legislatures, they made laws that the individual cities and towns couldn't take them down without the approval of like the state. So they don't care about self-rule or freedom or whatever. They just want control.
Yeah, that reminds
me. The other
me.
thing too.
Go ahead, John.
With mask is that what people forget is kids, right? Not all kids are vaccinated yet, so there's still points of transmission right there with children. That I feel like sometimes goes ignore with all these policies that people think, okay, well, I no longer need to wear a mask. Well, those that got vaccinated don't need to wear a mask. Quotation marks. That doesn't mean your kids should stop also.
Yeah.
Because
Ralph in the chat was saying it's survivors of the fittest now. Holly Horn, you on your own. And Sterling W saying the vaccine is just supposed to help against extreme symptoms and death. That seems more like a booster to me. I mean, it does help you not get it in the first place, but it's not guaranteed that you're not going to get it. And the main thing is not going to the hospital and not dying. That's what that's where they're being proven.
This might be,
and this
might be too vulgar, but there was a TikTok that says, the vaccine is like condoms, right? Condoms say it's a 99% chance you won't get pregnant.
Right.
99%.
but this company talking about you're going to need a booster in 6 months. So 6 months from now, everybody's going to have to get vaccinated again. Yeah. But one thing too is like, look at the sport industry. The sport industry is like, they all going full. They all going like full capacity by the end of the month. And like I was talking to Easy, right? He was talking about the Yankees Texas game that was like 40,000 people in there,
jam packed,
crazy, jam packed. So again, it goes back profit over everything. So like all these sports venue, they're gonna try to recuperate all their money that they lost, and they don't really care who's vaccinated and who's not. So that's why I think the CDC definitely kind of got ahead of themselves, and they should have put a plan in action before going way too quickly. But
I'm curious if they would have kept allow people to continue or not even promote or taking away the mask yet and just let people continue doing it, how low would the flu incidents go down? How low would it drop? Because I've heard that a lot of the flu incidents, people getting the flu, has dropped because a lot of Americans have been wearing a mask.
Yeah, Case. I was gonna say Jim Tobias in the chat just said what you said. That mask prevented flu and colds this past year. Yeah. Why discourage them? Yeah. And the wearing masks plus people staying at home. Those are the reasons why there wasn't as much flu going around. Mm-hmm. So it just goes to show that just keeping the mask, even without the coronavirus in the picture, is going to help you not get the flu next year. Plus any other germs that people spaying out.
Yeah, exactly. All right, I'm gonna go to this. Is the meme of the week that I came across this. I thought this was interesting. So here's an unemployment assistant line, and getting $330 a week, and then you have corporations saying, "Oh, we're hiring for $400 a week," And it says, must have a bachelor's, 12 years experience, no felony convictions, 750 credit score, be available 24 hours a day, and we can terminate you whenever it's convenient for us. So I think this meme is, how everybody in the news, a lot of especially like Fox Business and CNBC, they've been complaining that owners haven't been able to hire. They're having trouble hiring employees because of all the unemployment benefits that's been going on out there. Yeah, this is a meme that's funny about that.
Yeah, that's why we were talking about earlier. Like, they all got to be forced to raise the minimum wage. If the politician's not going to do it, people are going to force the company to do it. I think McDonald's went on a strike, and you're seeing now McDonald's talking about raising it. I think Gabe, you mentioned that there's like a bunch of billboards with it, right? So we can no longer leave this in the hands of the politicians, because we know the politicians are being bought by the corporations. So
that's one of the things I haven't seen talked about at all, just raising the minimum wage. They talking about, a lot of the red states, like almost, I think like 13 states decided to prematurely take away the benefits, but they're not talking about, hey, maybe these guys should just raise the wage.
Because they just want people to go to work for slave wages, man.
So the smart companies are doing it. The smart companies are getting ahead of it. So again, problems that McDonald's has, we've seen several memes and stuff of McDonald's locations putting up $18 an hour minimum. I've seen a lot of these companies out there pass by In-N-Out that had like $17. So you're seeing these numbers, and the smart companies will do it. The not smart companies won't. And I had a thought earlier when I was while I was eating dinner, was we got to stop looking at it as the hourly wage. I think maybe that's the wrong thing. Is that maybe we're saying $15 an hour when you look at it from $7.50 or $7.25 to $15. They're like, oh my God, you're doubling it. But the thought I had was just talk about it as an annual wage, because when you say, hey, the minimum wage is $15,000 per year, that's about $7.25, give or take $1,000, whatever. Like, and you look at it, you say that to any reasonable person, they're gonna go, what? Even in the best places, like I shared a room in upstate New York when I went to school, and it was like $450. That's half, almost half of my entire income if I was making minimum wage. And then you count food. Do you need a car and a car payment and gas to get to work? All these things. It's impossible. So I think framing it like that as just there's no one in their right mind that could say $30,000 a year, which is about what $15 minimum wage is a luxurious living. No one can say that. And I think we could help take back the narrative where if 15 is falling flat, just change it that way. 30,000, 40,000.
Yeah, but you're gonna have those people in the red state, and especially those baby boomers, gonna be like, well, my time I used to make $22,000 a year, and I bought a house, and I did all this, and I went to school, and I was able to pull my family out from 22,000. So 30,000, that should be enough. Like,
and your house costs 8,000.
They're also stupid. Yeah, exactly. They could work a summer job and pay for 2 semesters of school. So we have to just I don't worry about those people. I think, again, I always bring up Florida as the example. We passed a $15 minimum wage despite being a red state, and it's because when you ask reasonable people reasonable things on policy, the people are going to respond reasonably. So when you say something like a $15 minimum wage, people look at it and they go, yeah, sure, why not? $15 is like not that much, so, or you say 30,000 or you say 40,000, there's not too many people that are going to go against it. So I think it's just reframing and taking it back, and it's ultimately up to, Joe Biden to make it happen. And he swung and missed on the first one, or didn't even swing. He looked at the call, strike 3. Shout out to Izzy and John for the baseball reference.
Let's talk about bunting now.
Yeah. So Ralph in the chat, he was saying, but it will destroy the economy, and we know it won't, because we had the CEO of was it Denny's, or the corporation that owns the Denny's franchises, complaining about $15 minimum wage, but at the same time in the corporate calls they were saying that, like in California, where they were paying more, they were doing great, so it wasn't really hurting anybody on the shareholders call.
So I forget whether it was Twitter or Instagram, but they were saying since the time that the minimum wage was established, at 25 cents in 1933. It's only gone down $7 since then. And inflation has like
Eating at it.
Yeah.
quadrupled it or more.
Another stat too is that the last time the minimum wage went up was under George W. Bush.
Yep.
And from then until now is the longest period in the history of the minimum wage where there hasn't been an increase. So not only do we have to get it to 15 or 20, we have to then also include the raises with inflation or whatever number you want to tie it to. But there has to be some kind of, whether it's 1%, 2%, 3% per year, you have to have that built in. But the danger is if you let the centrists do like $11 an hour with those annual raises, now they have the freedom to never look at it again. And you have people still stuck in a poverty wage. And they're like, oh, but it goes up every year. Yeah, it goes up. It's still being a poverty wage. So you have to make it a living wage and then make it automatic to raise with just a general inflation. And that's just the start of starting to rebalance the economy. So it wouldn't do it, but it's just a start.
You mentioned the boomers talking about back in Mad Day, you know, and Sterling W in the chat is saying, imagine if the people free from slavery said, you got to go through what I went through.
Yeah. I know my dad, he told me when he was in Barbados that he had to take the family sheep to the pasture and stuff. Like, come on, I can't expect my kids to be doing stuff like that. So I hope that these people don't have that argument. Right. So
let me do one last. Oh, you going in? I want to do the one last story.
Go ahead.
All
right, go ahead.
A little cute story in the rapid fire. A little bonus story.
Okay.
This is the story of Billy Possum by Casey Barris, the Ohio History Connection at ohiohistory.org. So, you know, I just ran into this. I thought it was, you know, it's political, but interesting at the same time. So in 1902, President Teddy Roosevelt and other politicians were on a hunting trip in Mississippi. He was having bad luck. So his assistants didn't want him to be the only one not to kill anything. So they tracked the black bear and tied it to a tree for Roosevelt. You know, aside from the fact that, you know, he had a gun, so it's already unfair. Teddy Roosevelt thought that it was way too unsportsmanlike, and he refused to shoot the bear. So that story was reported nationwide. Then a Brooklyn candy shop owner decided to, hey man, make some money of this. Let me dedicate a stuffed bear to the president, being courageous also, and called it Teddy's Bear. And the rest is pretty much history. But there's another side note to the history. After Teddy was out of office, toy companies wanted to make some money, the next big thing. They wanted to name a toy after Ohio's very own President William Howard Taft. But the story wasn't as inspiring. So the story goes like this. In January 1909, then President-elect Taft was honored at a banquet in Atlanta. At Taft's request, the main course was possum and taters. When Taft's belly was stuffed, local boosters presented the president to be with a small plush opossum. Opossum? The toy, they told Taft, was destined to be the next big thing. It was going to replace the teddy bear. They dubbed it Billy Possum. The gift pleased Taft, as did the dinner. The next day, he told reporters, well, I certainly like possum. I ate very heartily of it last night, and it did not disturb in the slightest my digestion or my sleep. So needless to say, Billy Possum was a flop, and so was every other attempt to dethrone the teddy bear.
Wow.
Oh, that's hilarious.
That was
I would try some possum.
So here is another meme that I came across, and Izzy, this is in your area for the mayoral's race, and it's an education scorecard, and it has the person that's the best is our guy Izzy, and I'll throw my hat behind Diana Morales as well. And Maya Wiley is the top, and then the worst they have Andrew Yang and Ray McGuire for education. Izzy, you have anything? What's the latest with that going on in your area?
I was just reading a New York Times article on the race, and they're still just talking about Yang and Adams, constantly Yang and Adams. Adams is, leading the race up allegedly, even though he's freaking terrible. He's a freaking cop. But it's just so funny how we all know the New York Times is slanted, right? But they barely even mention Morales, like hardly even once in a half a sentence in their article. But all the rest of it is dedicated to everybody else in the race. Stringer gets a mention. Maya Wiley, she came out strong in the debates, blah blah blah. And then there's Diane Morales. Like They're just trying so hard to like not even mention her name so that people don't get behind her. But that's why we got to do our job on this show and inform the people, you know?
Yeah. To all our New Yorkers, check out Diane Morales. And this is the last thing before we start going on to the trivia and No Cow Zone. This tweet says, I honest to God got a bill from an EMT telling me my son was dead. This is just among the zillion goddamn reasons we need universal health care. And the bill is for $859.37. That's just to tell him that his son is deceased. That's how much they charged.
Wow.
That's crazy.
Wow.
Crazy stuff. All right. So,
man, I wanted to say something funny.
Go ahead.
But that kind of killed it a little bit. But in the chat, I think YouTube erased it or whatever. But Jim Tobias was saying, "WAP, wed a possum."
That's a good one.
All right, Gabe, you wanted to say something?
I was gonna say a couple. I was gonna shout out Jim as well in the chat. He's definitely involved today. We're glad to see you. And the second thing is gonna be he said that we are some of the most educated men. So thank you very much.
That's nice. That's
you missed last week. We had Imani with us also, educated woman crushing it. But if you do like this content, be sure to like, share, and subscribe. And share this with your friends, share it on Twitter, share it on all social, and definitely hit the like button, because the like button will help get us to more people watching live and also to more people that watch the replay when we post it. And it costs you nothing, but it means the world to us. So thank you very much to those that have been watching us.
And Q Izzy, you could also talk to us on Discord. We got a Discord server, and over there we post stories that we don't talk about on the show, and the chat members, the people that are in the chat right now, they also post stories and we talk about them on Discord.
Yo, Carlito, how did you skip over Alan's comment? No mud butt, 10 out of 10. Come on, that's classic, man. That's a throwback, Alan. I love it. Mud
butt. All right, so we're gonna go into No Cow Zone, right? So the first question is: should progressives take a break from Medicare for All to promote Medicare for all children, which would advocate to cover all kids 0 to 18. So my reasoning for this was, okay, I know he gave the thumbs down already. So what I mean by taking a break is, let's say we had to compromise, right? The compromise that's been popular for a while has been.
I wish I could mute Case right now. Cancel.
You can't do that.
You got to get your meme. You got to get your meme. You got to get your meme.
There's a reason why he never showed us this question before the show.
and also, I'm not even showing you guys. I'm showing the question. So all those memes that you guys just did, nobody saw it, bro.
Oh no! Everybody do it
right here. Do it again.
There you go. All right, so this is the reason behind it, because you have Joe Biden and even Hillary Clinton. They tried to compromise by bringing the age from 65. Hillary Clinton actually did the most. She did 50, and then Biden did to 55. I was thinking, if they can find a way to popularize Medicare for all children, that could be a way of creeping the Overton window towards Medicare. And everyone loves the children. How are you going to fight against the children? We love the children. You shouldn't be able to not market that. That's the easy way to market it to the kids.
They fight the children on time already with Medicaid.
Yep, this already exists.
Only in certain states, not everywhere, right?
No, Medicaid is, I think, for all. If you're a low income person, everybody. I'm a Medicaid kid, so if you are low income, you could get Medicaid until 18.
So there's nobody that falls between the cracks or anything like that.
And then nobody accepts it.
Let's not forget that. I don't want to take this too dark, but kids get shot up in schools all the time. We doing anything about gun control? So
that's a good point.
I don't even know if invoking the kids is enough to change people's minds.
All right, so
I think we don't negotiate with terrorists, and the centrists and the right wing are terrorists, so you don't negotiate with them. It's cheaper. Medicare for all is cheaper, and it has better health outcomes. You look at every other country in the world, they have better health outcomes and higher life expectancy, lower infant mortality. We are some of the worst outcomes for health in the developed world, and we pay by far the most for prescription drugs and for treatment. And so you can't negotiate with terrorists. You have to say, no, we need, whether you call it Medicare for all, whatever you want to call it, we need a single payer universal healthcare system that will, that is funded by taxes and that will be cheaper. That's the key point. It is cheaper and better healthcare outcomes. We will focus on prevention instead of treatment, and we'll give you a little pill for your heart problems instead of waiting until you have a heart attack and need a quadruple bypass.
So Alan Ambassador in the chat, he's saying chip. That's what it was. That's the one specifically for kids.
Okay, yeah, that's what
Medicaid is for the poor. Chip is for kids specifically.
And for Sterling W, I saw she put or he or she put wild talk about an age group that doesn't really need it. Give it to everyone. I totally agree with you, but there are occasions that unfortunately a child. I remember a specific case on MSNBC. A woman who her son got hit by a car, unfortunately, and the cost was just a ton of money. So in those cases, I know usually kids are the easiest to insure because they're usually the most healthiest, but there are occasions where they need help. So, okay, I guess I officially cancel myself on this one.
we already have taken the negotiation approach with Biden. And even if you go back to Hillary was saying lower it to 55. Biden was saying lower it to like 60. And they're still not doing any of those things. So you can't negotiate in bad faith with people. So if people are already not doing what they're already promising, and if Biden already said he's going to give us lower it to 60, and he said he's going to give us a $15 minimum wage, and they don't do it, you can't negotiate with people that are negotiating in bad faith.
Right, because we know it's not about being cheap or anything. It's about they don't want the insurance companies to lose money. They're, caught time to their overlords. And, a little personal story. I was in the ER this weekend, and it had me thinking about this because I was thinking, man, I can't afford to pay $150. That was my copay right there. But how many people would not go to the hospital with, whatever it was that I had going on just because they couldn't afford it? And I was thinking about this. And then I was at home and talking a 10-year-old and a 12-year-old. And if it makes sense to them, it's common sense. And they were telling me, what? They were even telling me the $150. Like, that's stupid. And what did they do to you? And that's it? That's all they did? And you pay that much? And I was like, well, that's how much I pay, but that's not how much it costs because the insurance, they're like, insurance is stupid.
I got a couple of stories to add to that. You want to go first, John? Go first.
Yeah. Not only that, they make you wait like 4 hours there. Just say they could try to justify it, right? To say, oh, well, this patient was seen by this time. But even there's people that I know that have great job, good insurance, and they go to the emergency room and they get a bill for like $3,000-$4,000 with insurance. And imagine, they're able to like pay it. But imagine if you're still like, okay, I got a good job. I got insurance. I'm thinking I got a good insurance. And then I go in and then 3 months later, I get a bill for $4,000. Like, how am I supposed to really come up with just $4,000 just because you ran some tests and told me there's nothing wrong with me? It's crazy.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Gabe.
The two stories I wanted to add just about the preposterousness of our healthcare system is one, back in college, one of our mutual friends here, we were at a party and a fight broke out and someone threw a chair and it hit our friend in the head. So I, being somebody who was raised on Medicaid, I go, we got to take him to the ER. We took him to the ER. They gave him 5 staples in his head. And along with that, a $2,000 bill. Oof. So that was one thing. So those are the most expensive staples I think I've ever seen. The second story was myself. I've shared it previously in the podcast, but for the new listeners was I was getting these headaches for like months. So I started going for every test, CT scan for this. Finally, did this one test that it was like $20,000 without insurance. And they showed me that bill. And I think I had to cover, I forget if it was like 10% or something, which is still very expensive. But I was thinking to myself, like the same thing that Carlito said, if I had to pay that $20,000 out of pocket, I could guarantee I wouldn't have gotten that test. And luckily it was nothing, but what if it was? And what if I didn't get that test and, God forbid I had an aneurysm or something, then that could have been much worse. And how many people are experiencing that every single day, whether it's the 150, like Carlito was saying, or whether it's these big things that you need to get tested. That's the big thing is there's no price on a test that you need. If you need to get this test, if you need to get this surgery, you can't put a price on it. It's just something that needs to happen before something worse happens. So we have to get it yesterday, and we have to do everything we can to not let it leave the conversation.
Yep, and that's true. Like somebody, I think Rafael just mentioned, everything is, every medical is a GoFundMe, and we know we all going to need some type of medical, assistance when we get older, right? Like it's just, I don't understand how people can just argue with that. You pay a little now to have a better future. Like it's common sense. But
So-
Right.
And
The
if-
thing
and
is,
if-
we know why. The problem that I have is, why do the voters get, mainly Republican voters, why do they get sucked into it and believe all that crap?
No,
they know
but
they can't afford
Democrat
to vote.
voters too. It's not just the Republicans. There's plenty of Democrats that are uninformed that say the same thing. Joe Biden's fine because we don't need Medicare for all, because Bernie Sanders is crazy. There's plenty of Democrats we saw in the
Right,
last
but we
primary
know,
that are okay without it.
but we know there are differences, Gabe. We don't gotta get into it, but we know if it's a Democrat that says, let's just, do a little baby step over here, or Republicans that say, just go and die.
Yep, 100%, 100. And Jim, before, I don't know if he just left, but somebody said, Jim said that what are we gonna do? What are we gonna do to get Medicare for all? So that's a question. We have our politicians in there who we expected to advocate for it, and we have the squad. They could have forced a vote on it. They did not. Like, so it's up to the
Jim was talking
grassroots.
about, gradually lowering the age, which is what, Bernie, for one, is trying to do.
Yeah. So maybe that's what we could do for now. We got to put pressure on Biden, because he's not even saying he's going to lower the age to from 65 to 60 right now. So at least do that.
We need to talk about what we talk. We got to come up with our own version of the or whatever it is, Tea Party, what we talked about before, and put pressure. Stop telling, stop having the progressive in Congress to say, oh, well, vote for Joe Biden because Joe Biden is not Trump. And you would negotiate with them. They say they're going to push them. And we got a bill and we got nothing that we were promised.
The ruckus.
Now we're sitting here, 2022 is around the corner, and it's going to be the exact same thing. Oh, we need to keep the House and we need to keep the Senate. This is the most important election of your lifetime. And in order for us to continue to push what we want to need, we need to keep. And then what's going to happen? The exact same thing happens. So,
all right, let's not make every episode about the same thing. Next time.
not every episode, I said we talked about it, but it is what it is, right? Every episode stays, but every week we get the same thing. We got a bill. They said that we were going to get something in the bill, and what did we get out of it? Was supposed to be a 2.1 trillion. They compromised with the Republicans on the 1.7 trillion, and everything that was taken out was what? Whatever progressive, something progressive wanted.
What you guys think of this name? I got the name. It's called the Ruckus. It's going to be, that's the new Tea Party of the left. The Ruckus. Bring the ruckus. What you think, Gabe?
No, it's the common sense party. Common sense.
The progressive Republican
reasonable
party.
People. Reasonable.
All right, we got
people.
We got 3 minutes left, so we're gonna go to the trivia.
No BS party.
Who said progressives should tone down calling Israel an apartheid state?
Nancy Pelosi.
Debbie.
Who else? Debbie?
I'll probably say Nancy.
Izzy, what you think?
I'll say Nancy.
Bendone, what you think?
Bernie.
Bendone is correct. It is Bernie who said that.
Wow.
Progressives
Oh my God, he's such a freaking cuck.
Down calling Israel an apartheid. I actually clipped that. It was on the CBS interview this past, I think it was Sunday.
Easy. You can't defend this.
I'm not trying. Do you hear me saying anything?
I'm just saying. You can't defend this.
Because
you can't see me.
Kill the stream. This episode is done.
We got
You
2
can't
minutes
see me,
left.
but I have my jaw on the floor right now. That's what's happening.
All right.
You're canceled.
If you want to know,
Here's the
if you
next.
want to know why we
go
don't
ahead.
have Medicare for all,
There.
Exhibit Z.
Yo,
That is why we don't have Medicare for all.
Talk
Here's
about
the-
a curveball.
here's
Talk
the
about
last-
a curveball from Case.
Here's
Yo,
the
hold on.
last-
You can't move on like that. It's still
No, we need to talk about this.
All right,
Yeah.
we got 2 minutes
about
left, but
this.
go ahead.
The chat is kind of mad. Like Sterling just said, "Wow, F Bernie."
Yo,
Already.
this is like
Rap is like shot to the heart. Uncle Bernie, no.
oh my god.
Yeah. It's a tough one.
Tío
It's a
Bernie,
tough
está
one.
pasado, Tío Bernie.
This is why we have Joe Biden as president because this is the guy that couldn't fight for anything. He couldn't fight for himself. He couldn't fight for us. He was just, he conceded at the first possible option. This is why we don't have the good things, because he wasn't courageous enough to say, yeah, my people aren't going to back you. And if he would have just said that, imagine the concessions, the real concessions we would have got. I'm not going to concede until you guarantee me that this is going to happen.
Well,
I'm going to back the Democratic candidate no matter what happens.
On second thought, I am not surprised anymore about Bernie saying that, because I saw something this weekend where even where he's at now regarding Palestine and the support he has now, it's a long stretch from where he used to be. He used to be one of the regular Israel apologists.
I saw that too.
So, he has moved to the correct side of history on this, but maybe he just hasn't moved enough.
Yeah, all right.
I'm still in shock.
I know you got all the Bernie. Let's get the Bernie hate out. I think we got
hold on, real quick. I'm sorry,
right,
I had to look this article up. You said you clipped the video, right? But you're not going to show it. I'm reading what he said.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Go ahead, Izzy.
I'm so depressed.
I don't know. The direct quote, the question was, do you think that those who share your view should not use that kind of language? And he said, well, I think we should tone down the rhetoric. I think our goal is very simple. It's to understand that what's going on in Gaza today is unsustainable when you have 70% of the young people unemployed, when people cannot leave the community, when hospitals and wastewater plants have been destroyed. That's unsustainable. That was his quote.
Mm-hmm. So he said tone down the rhetoric of people calling it an apartheid state.
Well, but the question never mentioned apartheid state. He just said, I think we should tone down the rhetoric. So that's not good. That's not a good thing for him to say, but I don't know. To me, this feels a little slanderish. He didn't straight out say we should stop calling them an apartheid state.
I'm going to bring up the video right now and play it. Let me know if you can hear it, because I didn't test this out beforehand. But
of the Palestinians,
can you hear it?
A number of the liberals in the House who used that language. The executive director of the American Jewish Congress, who handled Jewish outreach for your campaign, has said that word, Joel Rubin, has said that using that word has increased the level of vitriol that has contributed to this anti-Semitism. Do you think those who share your view should not use that kind of language?
Well, I think we should tone down the rhetoric. I think our goal is very simple. It is to understand that what's going on in Gaza today is unsustainable. When you have 70% of the young people unemployed.
All right, I think we got it, right?
So the word is apartheid, but they didn't say.
Yeah,
we are now in overtime.
Yeah.
That's what this guy threw us a curveball.
Yeah,
I think that was the question. The question was, they were asking using that word.
Yeah, they kept saying that word, but they didn't say what the word was. I still agree, it's not good. His first little part of the sentence was not good, but everything else he followed it up with, I think, clarifies where he's coming from. I don't know.
If you look at the totality of the statement, it wasn't as bad as when people clip something out and focus on one thing. So, but all right, let's move on to this quick trivia, and then I don't know if it's up to you guys if you want to do the last no call zone, or we could just end it because I know it's 9:02. But let's do this real quick. Who had the worst voting record of any freshman Democrat? Having missed 2.8%.
Bowman, because
Jamal Bowman.
There it is.
Yeah.
Because the squad is a disappointment.
Well, I don't know. I think 2.8%. It was that a huge deal. It shows that the North Carolina congressman, who's a Republican, has missed 16.2 votes, roughly every 1 in 6.
So what is this? What percentage is this? So that's the percentage of votes he made versus
and that's not Jamal. That's another person that was not a freshman. Another person missed 16. So Jamal Bowman missed 2.8. So like I'm trying to make the point that is that really that bad? I don't know.
Oh, he missed 2.8% of his votes?
Yeah.
Oh, come on, man.
Yeah, exactly. But I just wanted to bring that up.
That's a good free throw percentage.
Yeah. There you go.
No,
all right.
I mean the inverse, yeah.
Real quick. This one could be real quick. Should we credit Andrew Yang for the child tax credit policy?
Son, come on, man. Come on, son.
Where you get this question from today?
For the tax credit policy, no. For bringing UBI to the forefront, absolutely. But for the tax credit policy, no.
But you get the point that I'm trying to make, though, like how it's structured, the tax credit policy. I've never heard of anything like this. We're going to be getting pretty much a UBI every month from July to, I believe, December, right? So that's where I'm going with this.
I don't think it's everybody, though.
I mean, children. No, people with children. Not
everybody with people with children.
MBI, a mostly basic income.
not everybody with children.
But I mean, don't get me worked up now.
The way it's structured, though, that's what I'm talking about. The way it's structured, because usually they'll just give you a one-time payment. You know, when tax time comes, you know, you'll get your one-time. But this is once a month.
I think it was the former GOAT Michael Jordan said, "F the kids."
Oh Lord. All right, let's give some love to the chat as we get on our way out of here. Alan Amberster, much love. Sterling, much love. Rafael Rodriguez, Erica, Holly Horn. Who else is in there? Jim.
Robert Wilson was in the house today.
Yeah.
And Robert Wilson, Erica. Well, the guy.
Did we say Holly Horn? She was
Yeah. Shout out to everybody watching on Twitch and Periscope as well.
Yeah, like and subscribe. And I
just want to give a quick shout out to Case. I know he took a rough one today, but you know, the guy comes up with very thought-provoking questions every single week, which is hard to do. And you know, even the best innovators and revolutionaries, you know, they have off days sometimes. So it's okay, Case. I'm here for you.
He's still recovering from the Knicks loss.
Exactly. Your brain is scrambled.
Now I appreciate the love, Izzy, but you know, there's going to be questions that you know people not going to like. So that's I'm going to throw that out there too. There's going to be some discussions I don't mind getting canceled temporarily as long as it's temporarily. I'll eat the calzone.
And if you have questions, you know, get on the Discord and send the questions our way. If you have better questions, you know, we will love them. So share.
That's like that. What's that song with Jay-Z and Kanye's like, I don't know what it means, but it's controversy or something.
All right, guys. You could have been anywhere in the world, but you're here with us, and we appreciate that. Hope you enjoyed that discussion in this week's episode of Political Junkies. We got Bendone, Carlito, Izzy, Bendone, Gabe, John. We are the Political Junkies, and if you're here, you stayed the whole episode, you are a political junkie right along with us. Much love to you. Adios.
Go Hawks.